Hello everyone and welcome to my craft room, and an extra very special welcome to our weekend online workshop featuring the Ornate Garden Suite. Welcome to everyone who's joined us in our little group today. I'm really happy to have you all here and hoping that the weekend goes successfully and that we can have many more of these workshops in the future. Hopefully you've all seen the little welcome video that I did on the group, so you know how this is going to work. I'm just going to basically show you some of our favourite projects using the Ornate Garden Suite, and then after we finish the videos we will put the links to the products plus the cutting instructions and any other little hints we think you need to know to successfully produce the projects at home. And as I also mentioned, that if you do purchase anything during the weekend or while the group is over from Michelle or myself, we will basically send you the card kits with the 4 cards that we have presented over the weekend as an extra little special something, a little thank you from us to you. Anyway, so this is my first card for the weekend. I won't do too much advertising. We'll just get straight into the reason we're all here, and that is the beautiful Stampin' Up products. Anyway, so here is my first card for the weekend. It's a Mother's Day card. I've just finished a whole series of Mother's Day videos, so I'm well and truly ready for Mother's Day. I'm just checking my iPad that it's working, and it is. Just one more thing. To buy from me, please go to this web address and use this host code for the weekend. So that will help me work out who's purchasing as a result of the workshop, and help me sort that out. Anyway, so let's start with this card. It's really sweet, and to be honest, it's not a colour combination I would have normally gone for, but once I saw it, I really thought it's just really quite special. So it's as I say, a Mother's Day card. It uses the very pretty little flower out of the Ornate style stamp set. It also uses the really sweet floral border out of the Ornate border die set, and it also uses, and hopefully you can see that in the light, it uses the really lovely embossing folder, little floral embossing folder, also from the suite, the Ornate floral embossing folder, and some ribbon, of course. There always has to be some ribbon. Anyway, let's get on with this one. Let's get crafting. Okay, so to pop everything aside and I'll sit down, so hopefully I won't disappear completely. Now, to start this little card off, I have my fairly standard sized card base, and as I said, I will put all the measurements and cutting instructions into the comments after the video, so just sit back and relax and don't worry too much about that sort of thing. It is anyway 8 1/4 inches long and 5 3/4 inches deep, and in metric that's about 21 centimetres by 14 1/2, I think I worked that out as. Anyway, and it's scored in the middle. So anyway, as I say, don't worry too much. I will put the instructions, the cutting instructions in the comments. Okay, so we've got our card base there. We also have, as you probably saw it fell out, a slightly smaller piece of Whisper White for inside. So that's that one there. We also have a piece of Whisper White the same size, well actually it's looks like it's a 1/4 of an inch smaller than your card base, so that's probably 1/2 centimetre smaller, which is the one I'm going to die cut with that pretty border stamp, or border die. I also have a piece of Rococo Rose cardstock, which is cut more narrow but slightly smaller lengthwise than the Whisper White, and then I have another piece of the beautiful soft sea foam, which is cut slightly smaller than the Rococo Rose. So there are our layers, so we'll just leave that there. So I might get rid of the card base and the little coloured panels, and I'm going to start with this piece of Whisper White. So first of all, I'm going to pop the Whisper White through the die cutting machine with the border die. Oh, that's not it. too many things on my desk. Here we go, this one. This is the Ornate Borders die, which is one of the 2 dies that you can get with this particular suite. And as you can see, we've got some very pretty little borders here, floral ones here, and some flowers that stand alone, and some stitched, quite nice little stitched borders as well. So yes, lots to choose from with this one. Anyway, so I'm going to be using this one. It's like sort of little daisies, which is really cute. I'm going to pop that through. I'm going to position that on the very edge, and I've got to get this right, on the very edge of my cardstock. And I'm going to pop it through the die machine at about there. Just so it's straight. Just bring in a piece of masking tape. Now, anyone who's watched my videos before realises that I do not bring my die cutting machine onto my table, because I live in a very, very old house, and the floor tends to wobble terribly when I die cut on this table. So I'll actually just disappear briefly and die cut over here. Just bear with me. Not too far away. Just popping it through the die cutting machine. Okay. And here we have, I'll just remove the tape and the die, and there we have our very pretty little bordered piece of cardstock there. Just pop it against the green so you can actually see that a little bit closer. It's actually really, really sweet, with its little daisies and flowers and things. So anyway, while I've got that green here, soft sea foam here, I will actually just attach that. So with some glue, just on the back, just do there, and then I'm just going to put little tiny, hopefully I haven't disappeared too far off, just little dots, tiny little dots on the edges here, just so that this fine detail will actually stick down a little bit, not too much. It will spread everywhere, but just so it doesn't lift too much. We can pop that onto our card base. There we are. Just firm that down, make sure it's straight. Lovely. Okay, so that's the first step there. So that's sort of, it's lovely and fresh and crisp. It's very nice. Okay, so what we might do as well then is bring in our Rococo Rose panel and our other smaller panel of soft sea foam. And I'm actually going to pop this little soft sea foam panel through the embossing folder. This one here. So as I said, I'm going to pop that in there. I'm going to disappear briefly and pop it through my die cutting machine. Bit of a squeeze. There we go. Oh, thump. And here we have it. There we go. So you can see that. I don't know, hopefully you can see that in the light coming through the window here. It's got some lovely, just little flowers and stems that match this sort of beautiful border die. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pop this one onto our Rococo Rose there, and I'm going to use double-sided tape for that because it's quite a heavily embossed folder. If I can find my double-sided tape, here it is. I'm just going to pop some double-sided tape on the back of that one just so it sticks properly. There we go. Another piece of strip of paper for the garbage bin, and we just pop that on there. As I say, these colours wouldn't naturally have occurred to me, but seeing them together, they are quite different, quite unusual. Okay, so the last thing, before I attach this to our card, I'm going to bring in some ribbon. I've got two ribbons here. I've got the really cute white polka dot ribbon, which has been around for quite some time. But I've also got the really nice edging ribbon here. It's one of the newer ribbons, and it's in white. And in this case, I actually want it in Rococo Rose. So I'm going to bring in my blend. And the best thing about this ribbon, or one of the good things about this ribbon, is that you can colour it with a blend and you get a lovely result. So I'm going to actually bring in another piece of paper so I don't ruin my grid paper, because I wanted to use that for all these videos. So anyway, so using my Rococo Rose blend, just going to, and I've got that, this is the brush end I'm using here, but I just find that a little bit easier with the coverage. Now you could use ink for this, or different sorts of blends if you want, but I think the blends just work perfectly. I'm just going to let that dry for a little bit because it gets quite soaked in the colour. So there we are, instant Rococo Rose ribbon. Okay, so I'm going to layer that with the polka dot, just popping it, which is a fancy way of saying popping one on top of the other. And then I'm going to tie them around this little smaller panel I have here. About that sort of level. Okay, anyone who watches my videos realises that it's just about to get interesting in a not very pleasant sort of way. I'm not particularly good with my bows. Let's just call me an enthusiastic amateur. And anyway, bear with me and I'm sure I will manage it. Okay, now this is usually where I realise I've made a horrible error and give up. No, that's pretty good. Okay, not too bad at all, not too shabby. There we are. I have a sort of little bow happening here, just there. It's got accents of the Rococo Rose and our polka dot. There we go. So I think actually I've done it slightly different than my original one. I've actually just tied the original one. I've just tied the pink ribbon there, and I've added the polka dot one after, just in that central tie. But I quite like that. I think I could go with that on this particular one, just a little bit different. Okay, so what we might do then now is layer this one up as well. Just some glue on the back and pop that there. There we go. So remember to put your ribbon on first, because once you've got it stuck down, it's too late, she says, out of experience. There we go. Now, the final thing we're going to do with this little card is basically bring in these beautiful stitched so sweetly sentiment boxes. I have a larger one also in the Rococo Rose. And if you haven't seen the Stitch So Sweetly dies, they are really handy. And you'll probably see them quite a lot in my videos. I do actually bring them out quite regularly. So I've got this large one here in the Rococo Rose, and I've got the smaller one in Whisper White. And to me, they fit together so nicely. But you've got lots of other things, lots of other ones you could use out of this little set. It's really handy. Right, tiny little ones there, right up to the big sort of really cute scallop stitched rectangle. Anyway, that one is really worth getting hold of if you like those sorts of things. Anyway, so as I say, I've got the large one in Rococo Rose and the smaller one in white. So I'm actually going to attach the pink one straight down to my card, and I'm going to use double-sided tape again because I want it to stick to that embossed panel without moving. Okay, so I'm going to pop that sort of just above our bow, just so that it's even. Here we are, about there. Hopefully that's straight. Yep, there we go. So I'm just sticking that straight to the card. Now this little white one, I'll just get rid of that for a moment and I'll bring our little white one in because I'm going to do some stamping. Hasn't been any stamping so far. So from the Ornate style stamp set, I'm going to grab the tiny little flower that I mentioned before. It's really, really sweet. And I'm going to stamp 2 of them in black at the bottom here, just to form a little feature on our sentiment box. I'm going to take one from the bottom up and then turn it around 90 degrees and put another one there. It's probably a little bit low. Anyway, we would have gone a little bit higher there. That's okay. Always different with card making. And I'm going to actually colour those in. So I'm going to use the Rococo Rose blends with the light and the dark. And I'm also going to bring in the really light mint macaron. Okay, because it's about the closest colour. I don't have a soft sea foam blend, and this one is about the right colour for the soft sea foam. So with the blends, I'm going to do a little bit of blending, which is what they call blends for. Just going to put the darker one in the centre and extend it up to the leaves a little bit, the petals a little bit. Just because, as you know, when you look at some flowers, they are darker, sometimes darker in the centre, and that's the look I'm going for here. Okay, there. And then bringing in the lighter one, same colour but just a lighter shade, just filling in the rest, and to blend the 2 colours together to give them that sort of 3D or sort of blending sort of look. Just do tiny little circular motions where the 2 colours, the 2 shades join, and that sort of merges them in or blends them together, as in the name. Okay, so that's there. I'll bring it up closer for you to have a look in a minute. Then I'm just going to use straight mint macaron just straight onto those little leaves there. Okay, right, so I've got those there. Another thing I'm going to do is just grab a little scrap piece of Whisper White, and again with our little baby stamp here, I'm just going to stamp another one on this little scrap. Doesn't matter too much that I've gone a little bit heavy there, because I'm actually going to just colour in the flower and then I'm going to fussy cut it out. So I'm just going to do the flower exactly the same way with the light and the dark. I'm going to cut the petals, cut the leaves off so it doesn't matter too much. So I'm just going to pop the dark in there and again blend in with the light. With very light circular motions. Okay, I'm going to grab my scissors, my favourite scissors, and I'm going to just cut that one out. just a bit of fussy cutting just to round off the day, round off the video. So hopefully everyone's having a good Friday so far and you're enjoying, well, this is the first video. Michelle will be next with her first video. Hopefully you will enjoy both of these and continue to enjoy the rest of the day. We're really thrilled with the amount of interest we've had in our workshops at the moment, so hopefully even once things get back to normal we can still continue to meet like this, which would be great. Okay, so I've just got that tiny little flower there. I'm going to pop him on a dimensional, just a single large dimensional, and just in the centre there, just to give it a little bit of texture, a little bit of interest just in there. Okay, so there we go. That's quite sweet. Then I'm going to bring in the Mother's Day stamp. Now the Mother's Day stamp isn't from this stamp set, it's actually from the Tea Together stamp set, but you could use any sentiment you like. I've left quite a lot of space there, but I just like this Mother's Day one. And as I say, I'm on a bit of a roll with Mother's Day at the moment, so why not? I guess we've got it to coming up not too far from now. Okay, so I'm going to, and it's got this nice sort of, the happy at the top has got this nice arch to it, which fits perfectly in the arch of this particular sentiment sentiment box. There we are. That's really sweet. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this particular sentiment box is actually pop it here where it belongs, in the middle there, perfectly positioned. But I'm going to pop it up onto dimensionals, just a couple. Probably positioned that left-hand side one a little bit skew with. There we go. Okay, so just pop that where it naturally fits in this particular larger box. Just try and get it straight. There we go. Okay, so that's quite sweet. I quite like that. It's really, really an unusual, as I say, an unusual colour combination for me, but I think it's really, really nice. I'm going to pop our second panel of Whisper White inside for our personal message. I'm not particularly going to stamp this one with anything inside, just leave it blank. There are some pretty sentiments in this, in the Tea Together stamp set, but I think I'll just leave this one blank. Just pop that there. Okay, all done. Okay, so that is my first card for the weekend. I hope you like that one. I think it's quite sweet. It's probably simpler than some of the ones that you've got coming up from me over the next day or so, but I think that's just a good way to start. So as I say, I will put a picture of the final card or links to all the products that I've used, including the coloured blends and the embossing folder and the ribbon, into the comments, and yes, and anything that I think you need to know to get this card working properly at home. It's really, really nice, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something out of that one. As I say, if you want to shop with me, please go to stampinwithjulianne.stampinup.net and use this particular host code for the weekend, and I will send you the card kits and a packet of embellishments, of rhinestone embellishments, as a special gift for buying over the weekend. Anyway, so Michelle will be on fairly soon, and I'll be back in a couple of hours with card number 2 from me on this Ornate Garden weekend. Thank you. Bye.